Tina Kotu Katoa, Ko, Adirondack Te Manga, Ko, St. Lawrence Te Awa, Ko, Irish Te Iwi, Ko, Mahoney Toku Inwa. I have just introduced myself to you using my pipiha. This is a structured formal way of introducing yourself in Maori. I located myself in the physical world by landmarks and people I am descended from. Ko, Adirondack Te Manga means this is my mountain. Ko, St. Lawrence Te Awa means this is my river. Ko, Irish Te Iwi means these are my ancestors. Ko, Mahoney Toku Inwa means this is my name. I'm going to introduce you to New Zealand's Māori art and tell you how learning about Indigenous cultures can bring diverse groups of people closer together. The theme of this TEDx event is identifying moments. There are 4 identifying moments that led me to be here today. This is my story of how I made international friends, taught my students about connection and community, became more open-minded, and learned some cool new lingo. First, a little about me. My name is Kathleen, and I am an associate professor here at TEDxSUNYPotsdam. I have a BFA in graphic design from the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, and an MA in fine art from LIU Post in Old Brookville, New York. I have shown my paintings in Spain, Belgium, and New York, and I was an art director in the city. The first identifying moment of the 4 I will talk about is 9/11. I used to work in the building in the center of your screen. Trips to the World Trade Center for lunch were common. I loved it. However, after 9/11, I did not wish to work in New York City anymore, and I went back to school. I decided to teach, and I got my MFA in digital art from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York. This is where I used to live, just outside of New York City. The second identifying moment for me was October 30th, 2012, Hurricane Sandy. That is my car on the left, under the tree, and on the right, one of the many boats from the marina in my neighborhood. After 9/11 and this, it was time to make a change. So we moved here. This is our backyard in the country. This is the third identifying moment for me, meeting Dr. Caroline McCaw. Caroline has a BA, an MFA, and a PhD. She is an associate professor and an academic leader in communication design at Otago Polytechnic in Dunedin, New Zealand. Dr. McCaw is from New Zealand, in the box in the bottom center, and we are in northern New York on the upper right. It is quite a different distance away, both geographically and culturally. New Zealand is made up of 2 islands, and Dunedin is at the southern tip of the South Island. This is what New Zealand is known for, but there is so much more to it. New Zealand has no native mammals. All mammals were imported by Europeans. However, there are many native birds. New Zealand is bicultural, European, and Māori. The Māori, the indigenous people, arrived around 1,000 years ago by water. This is the harbor in Dunedin, a small city. 128,000 people live there compared to Potsdam's 15,000. Otago Polytechnic has 9,000 students and 150 programs. Caroline came to the North Country with 2 of her sons, Orlando and Rye, for a year as a Fulbright Scholar in residence, and she lived here in an off-the-grid community in Herman, New York. This is the boys enjoying our snowy winter. When the project began, I was an assistant professor at SUNY Canton. SUNY Canton, just down the road, is in rural northern New York, and it is a technology school. In fact, graphic and multimedia design is part of the Canino School of Engineering Technology. This is an engineering open house. The students are very diverse, but also separated by culture. Some are local with a rural upbringing, but some are urban from the city. Caroline was teaching the arts of Oceania. This is the Easter Island Rapa Nui that she showed in her class. Art is a path through history, and it can tell us things that people cannot. This is an image Caroline showed her students in New York of work done by her students in New Zealand. Her New Zealand students loved Dragon Ball Z and decided to marry the culture of their people with the aesthetic to create their own digital personas. One of the assignments Caroline gave to the Arts of Oceania students was to watch the movie Moana. She asked them to pair the knowledge from class to what they were seeing on screen and develop 3 positive and 3 negative takeaways. Meanwhile, across the hallway, I was teaching programming for visual artists. We covered computer coding software written for artists called Processing. It is free at processing.org and part of the Hour of Code. You should check it out. This is a project I did in processing at St. Lawrence University. We decided we would work together. We brought students together after the midterm exams, 2 different subjects, professors from 2 countries, rural and city students from a wide variety of cultural backgrounds. The project began with a visit from New Zealand artist and museum professional Vicky Lenehan. She spoke about the indigenous Māori art of New Zealand. Here's where the lingo I mentioned comes in. A marae is the focal point of Māori communities throughout New Zealand. A marae is a fenced-in complex of carved buildings and grounds that belong to a particular iwi, tribe, or whānau, family. Wharenui is a communal meeting house, usually the focal point of the marae. This image is of the Wharenui on the treaty grounds at Waitangi, New Zealand's most important historic site, where in 1840, New Zealand's founding document was signed. It introduced the idea of biculturalism, which is coexistence of 2 originally distinct cultures. A popo is a wall panel located underneath the veranda of the Māori Wharenui. It is generally built to represent the spiritual connection between the tribe and their ancestors, and thus each popo is carved with emblems of the carver's particular lineage. Popo helped to envision a future, but not forget the past. We started out by having students discuss concepts. They took inspiration from the presentation of Māori art and culture. Their idea was an interactive installation that included storytelling and images. However, they felt they had no culture, no need for family. There was a strong sense of individualism, and they did not want to work together as a group. Thank goodness for Thanksgiving. We sent the students home for their Thanksgiving with an assignment to interview their ancestors and come back ready to tell a memory. I took Caroline and her family to New York for Thanksgiving. The goal of the project was to talk with ancestors and have them talk back. This was an identifying moment for our students when they had to confront their cultural identity and ask their parents and grandparents questions about their lives. Some of the emotions that arose from the stories were pride, love, and sadness, and most importantly, connection to ancestors and connection to each other. Students researched several technologies to choose what would work best in a shared space. They researched Arduino, processing, Visual Studio, headphones, motion detection, video, and augmented reality. We focused on visual and auditory narration, and the students spent time in class recording their stories and creating a library of video and images. We helped students create a prototype. These are the completed light boxes. In progress with some special help from John. Hannah Ralston was our liaison from the Southworth Library Learning Commons, who helped us with the iPads and the augmented reality. Augmented reality is an interactive experience of a real-world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer-generated perceptual information. The AR uses a trigger image to display an alternate view or show a photo or play a video. The project was a site-specific interactive installation created on a $50 budget for Christmas lights in the light boxes. Viewers held up the iPads to the light boxes. The image of the silhouette of the ancestor triggered audio and visual storytelling of the connection the student had with that person. It was a window into their family history and their story. Walking in and hearing many stories at once made for a symphony of stories. However, as one holds up the iPad, one was able to focus on their own artwork. Students' own installation, inspired by Wharenui, diverse and personal stories could be heard in one space. Even the engineers liked it. The students finally developed a connection and bonded. This project connected students from diverse cultural backgrounds through the lens of New Zealand Māori art. We considered the lasting influence of our parents, grandparents, and ancestors, and along with stories of pride, love, and sadness, we discovered connection, empathy, and ownership. The project supported a culture of individuals to work together, a collaborative design process, connection, and shared a vision. Here is an example, some of the video of the exhibition. Thank you to all of the students for all your hard work. We presented our findings from the project at Cumulus Redo in Kolding, Denmark, and at American Institute of Graphic Arts, AIGA Converge in Los Angeles, California. After I presented at the conferences, my fourth identifying moment happened. I became a student again. I am currently in the PhD program at Otago and spent 3 weeks there last summer in a summer studies program learning about biculturalism, sustainability, and making new friends. This is us at the farmer's market. A bit of a break to the hot springs in the mountains. The group at the marae. Learning to navigate in a traditional waka. As I said in the beginning, I learned a lot about connection. I got to see an amazing new country, and I learned some really cool new lingo. Why am I telling you all this? We can choose to make a negative moment, like a pandemic, an election, a terrorist attack, or a natural disaster, be a defining moment. Or we can take those moments and grow. We can use them to connect to our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors, our cultural identity, and new friends. We can use those moments to change our identity and learn some amazing new things, like how to navigate in a waka and how to say hello in Maori. Kia ora. Thank you.